The truth universally acknowledged that when one is feeling sad and down, one turns to books, and so I'm here with a new book rec for you. Before going into the details of this book, I think there's a couple of things to mention before so that you can understand if this book is for you or not. Because one, this is a modern retelling of Hades and Persephone, and two, this is pure smut. Like, it's smut. Every chapter, the base of the plot, the reason why this book starts in a way is sex. So, yeah. If you're not in the mood for this kind of thing, maybe I would save this book for later, but I do recommend it because it's really good. And also, it features a dark Persephone, which is always nice to see, a badass woman, and a man that is so whipped for her. And what you think that between Hades, god of the underworld, god of the dead, etc., and Persephone, who is the goddess of spring, who is the most fearsome and badass, is totally Persephone. Like, always. There is something that never changes in every retelling, and that is something that I live for because... However, every retelling, of course, is different from the other because Greek mythology itself is so uncertain and has so many different sources that every author decides which version of the myth fits best the idea and the story they have in mind. So, for example, in this book, we have a modern Olympus that is not a mountain anymore, but is a city divided into a lower and upper side. Divided sounds so Gossip Girl, but it's divided by the river Styx, of course. And another thing that is different in this book is that gods are not these all as the world people who have been here since the beginning of time, but it's more like a role that people play, and some of them are even chosen by people like Demeter. Or maybe it's pronounced Demeter, I don't know, but whatever. Persephone's mother, okay, to be clear. The story starts with this party and the public announcement of Persephone's engagement to Zeus, who is 60. And okay, even in canon, Zeus is like sketchy and shitty in the list, but in this is even worse because he's 60 and he has a reputation of killing his last 3 wives. So Persephone is not too happy about this new situation, even because she is a woman with a plan and she wants to leave Olympus as soon as she can, and this definitely puts a dent in her plans. So she steps outside to take a breather, because it's overwhelming news, and she starts to walk as one does, to ponder over her options, her possibilities, what she can do to change this situation or to just leave. And she notices she is in a sketchy neighborhood and 2 men are following her, so she starts to try and lose them, but she can't, of course, and she arrives at the river Styx. The thing about this river is that you can cross it unless someone has invited you into the lower parts of the city, or if you're desperate enough to try and make the crossing. Married to Zeus is enough prospect that Persephone has to try because she cannot go back, and so she does indeed attempt to make the crossing, and she is successful. And there's this man on the other side of the bridge who is waiting for her. But who is this man? Because you see, I've mentioned before that gods are more like a role, so whenever one dies, a new one is chosen or is elected, whatever, there's always someone in the role of Zeus, Demeter, Apollo, or whoever, whatever. But there is an aura of mysteriousness around Hades, because ever since the last one died, a new one hasn't been chosen, or so they say. someone is definitely running the lower city, but there is no Hades. He doesn't appear in public, no one knows if he is real, if he exists. And needless to say, Persephone is drawn to him, even if more like the idea of him, because even before everything that I've just told you, she's fascinated by this figure, by this Hades, and stops in front of his statue and admires him. And then he's, well, I don't know, easy. But anyway, she sees this dead figure on the other side of the bridge, and she runs to him asking him for help. But this man or person, whoever they are, doesn't move. They don't run to her. She needs to make the crossing on her own. Why, you might ask? I could tell you, but the answer is in the book. So but a thing I want to mention is that the beauty of every retelling of Hades and Persephone is that no matter how they are destined to find each other and be together sometime, they're star-crossed lovers, like in A Touch of Darkness, because the fates have made a prophecy that they are going to be forever together, wherever. Or they just meet, and for whatever reason, and they just click, it's chemistry. They're just made for each other, that's it. And of course, the symbolism of light and darkness, of shadow and spring, life and death, is alluring in itself. Hello, Darklina. But it's also very nice to see how they're opposites, and therefore they are able to bring out in each other a side in them that has been dormant for meeting the other. Like Hades is usually someone that is very closed off and has trust issues for, well, obvious reasons, and Persephone is always someone who is light and happy, but light not in the way that she hasn't suffered or that she had it easy in her life, but simply that her approach to things is very, very different than Hades. I can feel a headache forming, so I'm going to be quick and end this and tell you exactly why you should read this book. But first and foremost, if you like Greek mythology's retelling, and in particular Hades and Persephone, then you can read this one, surely. And it's not only smart, but it's very kinky, so be aware. Also, it's really enjoyable, the journey and the development you can see in Persephone's personality, and the way she just blooms under Hades' care and love, but not thanks to him, it's all her, but in the way that, love helps you become yourself. I mean, in a way that when you're stuck in a difficult situation and you don't know what to do, if you have someone that loves you and supports you no matter what, then it's a bit easier sometimes to make difficult decisions. And this definitely happens with Hades and Persephone. And also, they're just like the OG emo boyfriend and sunlight girlfriend, and Hades is so whipped for her. Like, he says that to her, that he'd do anything for her, and you can see just how they're meant to be with each other from the beginning. And I love that, it's well, when one has no love life for obvious reasons, it's all we can do to live vicariously through these novels and these characters. So also, last thing I want to mention is that every character, even outside Hades and Persephone, and without mentioning Zeus, we'd hate him in his house, okay? But they are all very interesting and very complex, especially Hermes, who is a girl in this one, which I really liked, because he, well, not talking about canon, but I never seen a retelling in which God's gender are different, so it's always an interesting twist. And Dionysus is also asexual, apparently, in this one. Yes. So yeah, if you have any recs for Greek retellings or even Hades and Persephone retellings, please send them away. And also, if you're under 18, please don't read this book. This book is not for you.